shame. I've been listening to a few things by Chase Hughes recently. I find him really interesting and he makes me think a lot. And I listened to something the other day about shame, and he was suggesting that if you hold on to shame and guilt, that does not make you a good or a righteous person. It just, I think his words were, puts you at the center of your own pity party. And therefore you're not the best version of yourself to serve other people. So actually holding on to shame and guilt not only affects you, but it also affects then your interactions with other people in the world and how you move through life. A lot of things that he said in that context really hit home for me, because I don't know if everybody does, but I certainly have stuff that I'm ashamed of, and I spent a long time trying to forgive myself for. And actually this morning during my yoga practice, I think possibly because I listened to this thing, and I'll put a link for it. People can make their own minds up about what they want to do. Like the millions of people that are going to see this. Because one thing that he said is, if you feel bad about something and you hold on to shame and guilt about something, it doesn't make you righteous. It doesn't make you a good person. As I said, it just puts you at the center of your own pity party, which is all about your ego, feeding into your ego. But you're the most important person in the world and everything revolves around you. Yeah, I reflected a lot on what he said about this feeling of shame and guilt. And I've tried so many times to forgive myself and let it go. And then what he said really hit home. And anyway, at the end of my yoga practice today, I've been making myself do Shavasana at the end. I always do meditation at the beginning, but I used to just get up and roll my mat away. And that's the time when most comes through. So at the end of my practice, I meditated on it. And I had this huge wave of sadness. And I realized that instead of feeling ashamed of myself now, because I'm not the person that I was, that I'm ashamed of. So I'm not ashamed of me now. I'm ashamed of the person that I was when I did the things that I'm ashamed of, if that makes sense. And it was a long time ago, and I don't feel like I'm not that person anymore. So instead of feeling ashamed of me then, I started to feel compassion towards that version of me, and I just saw her, like me, for who she was. And I'm not trying to dissociate myself, I'm just trying to explain that instead of feeling ashamed of myself now in this moment, I felt compassion for the person that I was when I behaved in a way that I wouldn't behave now. And I realised I spent a lot of my life being really unkind to myself. And the time when, I don't know if everyone has a one thing they're really, really ashamed of, but there's a few things in my life that I'm ashamed of. Not anymore. Because the person I was at that time in my life, I was so lost. And it's not an excuse. I've beaten myself up for years about these things. It's not an excuse. But I was lost, I didn't know what I was doing. In terms of subconsciously, I was just reacting and just desperately wanting to be loved, I think, actually, because I had no love for myself. And that might sound really pathetic. I don't know what anyone thinks. But yeah, I had zero love for myself. So I was trying to find love in other places. And yeah, it wasn't the right thing to do, but instead of hating myself for that, I now see the person that I was then and what she was looking for, and instead of feeling ashamed, I feel sad, and I feel like she just needs a hug. This might sound a bit weird and a bit random, but yeah. So I think that, for me, that really sticks, that I don't even know if he said this, but whatever you're ashamed of in life, the you now, if you're living in the present moment, this you, this version of you, did not do that thing that you're ashamed of. And you forgive other people, or I forgive other people, all sorts of crazy shit. But it's harder for me to forgive myself. But then I realised that the version that I'm trying to forgive is long gone. Or maybe she still exists in a parallel universe, but I want to forgive her. What I forgot to say is that until you can forgive yourself and release the shame and guilt and stop your silent internal pity party, I'm talking to myself as well, you're not free. You're not free to grow and be the best version of you and to give and receive love in the way that we're all meant to. So put that bag down, put it down, set fire to it, let it go.